Jeopardy! S newest star Scott Riccardi's impressive gameplay has blocked his rival from competing in the final category of today's nail-biting game. Scott's latest triumph, his 8th consecutive victory, is now the longest-running winning streak in season 41. The engineer from Somerville, New Jersey, has gone big on all of his final Jeopardy bets, giving him a staggering $182,901 from 7 wins. Looking for his 9th win, Scott went up against Paul Swain, a tutor from Vancouver, Washington, and Amanda Hopkins, an analytics manager originally from New Providence, New Jersey. Similar to his previous games, Scott was off to a quick lead early on which only increased when he found the first daily double. Under the words of weather category, Scott accurately answered the clue and doubled his score to $4,800. By the time the trio of players entered the double Jeopardy round, Scott already was in position for a runaway lead with $9,000. Amanda was in a distant second with $3,000 while Paul had $2,200 in third place. Paul found the second daily double in the fizzy drinks category and went for a big swing, betting his entire $3,000 prize pot. However, his risk didn't pay off as he got the clue wrong and lost $3,800 on a true daily double. Scott was able to find the third and final daily double under the In the World's Fair host city category. He once again got the clue correct, adding $4,000 to his massive lead of $18,200. All bets are off. Heading into Final Jeopardy, Scott easily had a massive lead of $34,200, far ahead of Paul in second place with $3,600. Unfortunately, Amanda was not able to compete in the Final Jeopardy category as she was in the red going into the last round. She nearly made it in, buzzing into the final regular game clue. However, both Scott and Paul clicked in before she did, blocking her from the opportunity to compete in the last round. Paul ultimately got the answer right, which left Amanda disqualified from participating in Final Jeopardy, as she had a negative dollar amount. Host Ken Jennings told the player, "Sadly, Amanda, you were one clue away from making it back into positive territory. But we loved having you. You'll receive a third-place prize. Thank you for being here." One fan insisted of Paul and Scott, "I would have held my buzzer and let Amanda get the final clue to get her into FJ. No one has to know she didn't just beat everyone else, and it changes nothing with the runaway in second place locked." Ken, 51, then read the final clue under the awards category. In the 50-year history of Saturday Night Live, he's the only cast member to have won an Oscar, and it wasn't for a comedy. Both Scott and Paul were incorrect as neither wrote down Robert Downey Jr., who won an Oscar for Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role in 2024 for his work in Oppenheimer. Paul dropped back down to $0 but still earned the second-place prize. Scott, like he has in the past, went big and bet it all, dropping him all the way down to $18,400 but still with plenty to win the game. This marks Scott's 8th consecutive win, which is much needed after the longest-running streak of one-day champions. His 8th win is the most anyone has scored in season 41 as he surpasses Laura Fata, who achieved 7 wins at the end of 2024. Their achievements will score them both a spot in the 2026 Tournament of Champions. Scott will continue competing in Tuesday's game with hopes of winning his 9th game and extending his prize pot of a whopping $201,301. The tension in the Jeopardy studio was so thick, it could have been sliced with Alex Trebek's old pen. Contestants stood at their podiums, buzzing with nerves, but one man stood with unwavering composure, Scott Riccardi, the reigning champion. Clad in his now signature navy blazer and crimson tie, Riccardi gave the cameras a modest smile. It was game 14 of his streak, and little did the viewers know, it would become his most controversial, and ultimately, most triumphant, victory yet. Going into this episode, Riccardi had earned nearly $430,000, a feat that had fans of Jeopardy dubbing him the strategist of season 41. But while some applauded his cerebral approach, others criticized his seemingly cold-blooded tactics. Still, love him or loathe him, Riccardi kept winning. Tonight's game started like any other. 2 new challengers, Elise from Vermont, a literature professor, and Marcus from Colorado, a chemical engineer, brought their A game. Marcus, in particular, came out swinging, nailing the daily double in the first round and building an impressive lead. By the time Double Jeopardy rolled around, Riccardi was trailing Marcus by $5,200. The board lit up with categories like World Leaders, Birds of Prey, the Solar System, and, most notably, Potent Potables, a fan favorite. But the final category of the round was a mysterious new one, Blocked by Strategy. No one had seen it before, and it drew curious glances from viewers and contestants alike. It was during this round that Riccardi's now infamous move occurred. With only 2 clues left, both in the Blocked by Strategy category, Marcus was poised to surpass Riccardi before Final Jeopardy. But Riccardi, recognizing the danger, buzzed in first on the penultimate clue. After answering correctly, he made a decision that stunned everyone in the studio. He paused, then turned to Ken Jennings and calmly said, "I'd like to jump to Final Jeopardy, please." The audience gasped. Ken blinked. "Scott," he said, glancing at the producers off camera. "There's still 1 clue left on the board." Riccardi nodded. "I understand, but per the strategy loophole in the game guide, if a player answers a clue correctly and no one else has enough time to select the next before time expires, the round advances. I'm exercising that rule now." Jennings raised an eyebrow, but after conferring with the judges, he gave a reluctant nod. The buzzer sounded. Round over. Marcus looked stunned. Elisa's jaw dropped. And social media? It exploded. Did Scott Riccardi just strategy block Marcus out of a shot at Final Jeopardy? #Jeopardy. @TriviaQueen88. This man is cold. He's not playing Jeopardy. He's playing chess. #Scott Riccardi. @NerdGumDaily. What fans quickly realized was that the final clue in that unplayed category was the second daily double. Had Marcus landed on it, he might have doubled his lead and secured a win. Riccardi knew this and made sure he never got the chance. The Final Jeopardy category was 20th century literature. Riccardi wagered $4,999, enough to edge past Marcus even if he managed to close the gap. The clue read. This British author's novel about a dystopian society was initially titled The Last Man in Europe. Riccardi didn't even blink. His response? Who is George Orwell? Correct. His total climbed to $456,712. Game 14, secured. Backstage, the mood was tense. Marcus appeared visibly frustrated but managed to stay classy in the post-show interview. "I knew what he did," Marcus admitted. "He saw the math. He knew the rules. I just didn't expect someone to use them that ruthlessly." Meanwhile, Riccardi stood by his decision. "This is Jeopardy," he said with a shrug. "It's not just about what you know, it's how you play. I respect Marcus immensely, but I did what I had to do." Despite the controversy, Riccardi's move was not against the rules. In fact, the loophole he referred to, a technical clause allowing a contestant to force the round to end under time pressure, had been noted in obscure trivia forums for years. No one had ever dared to use it so strategically. Until now. Ken Jennings later addressed the moment on the Inside Jeopardy! Podcast. "That was one of the most jaw-dropping moments I've ever seen on stage," Jennings said. Scott essentially used the game's own framework as a shield. Whether you think it's fair or not, it was brilliant. The next day, Jeopardy! Was trending across platforms. Fan polls were split down the middle. Some called for the rule to be revised. Others hailed Riccardi as a modern-day trivia genius. Episode 15 aired just 24 hours later. Riccardi walked onto the stage to a mixed reaction, some cheers, some awkward silence. But it didn't shake him. He gave his now famous half-smile, adjusted his buzzer grip, and said, "Let's get started." He won that night, and the next after that. By episode 20, Riccardi had officially become season 41's longest-running champion, eclipsing previous record holder Cassandra Lynn's 18-game streak earlier in the season. Though Riccardi has yet to break the all-time consecutive win record held by Ken Jennings, 74 games, his reign has undeniably reshaped how contestants think about the game. Producers have confirmed that they're reviewing the strategy loophole rule for future seasons. But as of now, Scott Riccardi remains untouchable and polarizing. Whether you root for him or against him, Ken Jennings mused during a commercial break, you can't deny that Scott Riccardi changed Jeopardy forever. And as Riccardi stood behind his podium, buzzer in hand, eyes locked on the game board, America couldn't look away. After all, love him or hate him, this was the age of Riccardi.